Hey guys, hope you're well. Back today with my final video on the 3 macros, and I want to talk about my top 5 fats to get in your diet. Let's jump straight in. So number 1, avocado. Really good beneficial food. One, it's going to have some monounsaturated fats. Okay, so they're really good for your heart health. Also can aid with insulin resistance. So a lot of people nowadays have issues with insulin resistance, especially if you're carrying too much body fat. What this means is your body can struggle to lower elevated blood glucose levels in the blood and elevated blood sugar levels. So this is a sort of thing and a precursor that down the line can lead to things like type 2 diabetes or heart disease or other sort of chronic illnesses. So we need to make sure we're taking care of that. You're also going to get some vitamin K and vitamin E, both fat soluble vitamins. Obviously, because we're getting fat from the avocado, we don't really need to worry about adding more fat in. So you're going to absorb those, which is really good. But also, like I say, vitamin E is an antioxidant, and it's prevents oxidative stress, okay, and prevents oxidation going on in the body. Vitamin K will aid with putting calcium into the bone instead of having it floating around the bloodstream, which is obviously not good as well. So really good to get your avocados in for that reason. And finally, you're going to get magnesium and potassium. I spoke in previous videos about how electrolyte balance is important just for sort of general health. So magnesium and potassium a lot of people don't get, so you're going to get a decent hit with taking in some avocado. And pretty much I think you're going to get more potassium from a whole avocado than what you would from a banana. So really good to get in as well. Number 2, nuts. Now I've basically just put nuts. The only one I want to say that I'm not including under this is peanuts, because it is more of a legume. Also, a lot of people have issues with peanuts nowadays, and I don't even mean like allergies, I even mean just intolerances. So, you know, they can get a bit of acid reflux or bloating or digestive issues when they have peanuts compared to any other nut. Also, peanuts tend to be higher in omega-6. Now, what we want to do is, a lot of people nowadays have way too high omega-6 and their omega-3 is way too low. Omega-6s are essential for the diet. We do need some omega-6s, but it's the ratio that we have them in our diet is the problem. So that when we look at the Western population diet, we have way too many things like sunflower oil, canola oil, soybean oil. Because these fats are naturally low in saturated fat, people think they're better, and then they're cooking with them and heating them up, or even, you know, having them on foods. But these foods are high in omega-6, which can cause inflammation in the body, so they're pro-inflammatory. Whereas we want to have more omega-3s in the diet, so that actually is anti-inflammatory, so it brings inflammation down. Again, having a bad ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, so having that omega-3 too low and the omega-6 too high, is going to cause those chronic illnesses potentially down the line, you know, put you at a higher risk of things like heart disease, you know, your cancers, diabetes, just things like that. Okay, so that's obviously not good. Also, other things, just generally things like metabolic health as well is going to be another one. So we need to make sure that our omega-3/6 ratio is good. So nuts in general, forgetting peanuts, we're going to be looking at just other nuts. Now what I'll do is I will do another video to follow this one where I talk about my top 5 favorite nuts to have in the diet, and I'll cover some of the benefits of those. But for today, we're just going to say nuts in general. You're going to get loads of vitamins and minerals, monounsaturated fats, omega-3s, antioxidants, good for brain health, skin health. You're going to get some fiber in there as well, so good for digestive health. Okay. Number 3, Evo, or extra virgin olive oil. Loads of monounsaturated fats for heart health, vitamin E and K again, like the avocado, antioxidants, which are really good for anti-aging. So this is why when you look at the Mediterranean diet, people have such good sort of skin, hair, nails, okay? And you know, they always look good in the Mediterranean areas of the world because they have quite a lot of extra virgin olive oil in their diet. Now, when we look at buying extra virgin olive oil, make sure that you're not buying stuff in plastic bottles or quite see-through bottles. So you want it in a really dark glass bottle, or even buy in the metal containers that literally you can't even see the olive oil. The other thing is, there was quite a bit of an issue we had quite a few years ago with olive oil where companies weren't putting olive oil into it, or decent grade olive oil, and they were actually filling it up with other bad oils that aren't that good for your health. So it's good nowadays to actually try and spend a little bit more Try and buy it from sometimes maybe a smaller company rather than buying it from like the big known names, because again, those big known name brands tend to come in plastic see-through bottles, which again isn't good. So have a little look into it. Also, you can test your olive oil by basically taking it, putting it in a little glass or put it in the fridge to leave it to chill, and if it goes cloudy and sort of thickens, then it's a good olive oil you've got there. Okay. Number 4 would be oily fish. Again, I spoke about salmon and the benefits of salmon in the protein video, but today with the oily fish, I pretty much mean salmon, sardines and mackerel. For me are those top 3. Try and make sure that you're buying them wild rather than farmed versions, because you're going to get a lot more benefits for it, including omega-3s. You're going to get heart and brain health, and then also the anti-inflammatory side of having oily fish. And again, oily fish tends to be something that's highly eaten in the Mediterranean diet, so really, really good benefits. Finally, dark chocolate. So a bit of a surprise, okay, a bit of a dark horse in there, but make sure that you're having it from 85% or higher if you don't mind the bitterness, okay. Benefits of it: you're going to get a flavonoid called epicatechin. So this flavonoid basically has a few benefits. It can actually aid with inhibiting myostatin, which is a protein in the body. So it can actually aid with muscle growth, which is really, really good. It also can aid with opening up the blood vessels, because it increases nitric oxide production, which is why some people actually like to have a little bit of dark chocolate pre-workout. Okay. And it also can aid with cholesterol levels. So it can actually aid with raising HDL, and sort of lowering the bad LDL. Okay, so really, really good to actually have with some dark chocolate. But also with dark chocolate, you're gonna get double the antioxidants pretty much than all fruit and veg. So really, really good stuff actually, and that's as long as you're buying that 85% or higher dark chocolate. So it's, you know, obviously there are the benefits, just make sure you're buying the good stuff. So it's obviously, we can't be having milk chocolate. Okay. And finally, you are going to get in all of these some saturated fats. Now, we do need some saturated fats in the diet, and a lot of people get scared of the saturated fats nowadays because obviously what we've been told. There's a lot of evidence coming through now to say that saturated fats aren't linked to heart disease. Okay, so it's, you know, it goes back and forth, but for me, it's a moderation thing. So we need to make sure that we're having some in moderation. Okay, why? A lot of our cells have a fatty layer, and saturated fats is included in that layer. So if we want to have properly functioning cells in the body to make sure we don't have health issues down the line, we do need some saturated fats. A lot of the brain is pretty much made up from fat and cholesterol, okay, which is hence the reason why we also need some cholesterol in our diet. But a lot of the fat that's obviously found in the brain is actually saturated fat. So again, if we want good brain health and cognitive health and preventing things like Alzheimer's and things like that down the line as we age, and lowering our risk of getting that, we need some saturated fats again. And also the inner lining of the lungs, there's like a liquid layer that lines the lungs, and pretty much all of that is saturated fat. So if you want to have good healthy lung function, then that's really good, and that's also a benefit for someone who might have asthma or COPD. And there was a post that I saw by a fitness guy, Ben Mudge, who's got cystic fibrosis, and he said that he needs to have more saturated fat in his diet because he's got cystic fibrosis. So again, for someone who might have like a lung function issue, getting enough saturated fats in the diet is actually a beneficial thing. So saturated fats, yeah, I'm not saying go and eat literally a whole 100-gram bar of dark chocolate a day and smash in 50 to 75 grams of saturated fat a day, but I'm saying that you need to make sure you're getting some in your diet, because there are some benefits to it. And if we're looking at other forms of it, I would prefer someone to certainly go and have, say, some coconut oil or grass-fed good quality butter, rather than margarine, because margarine is going to be way too high in trans fatty acids. So trans fats are just a big no-no. We should just not be having them at all for our health. And again, they're going to raise oxidation. They're going to raise omega-6s. They're just going to cause loads of inflammation in the body when you have trans fats, and those sorts of trans fats are going to be found in margarine. So someone goes to me, oh, is it butter or margarine for you? For me, it's always butter. Okay, and the same, you know, and again, I'm not meaning a whole block, I'm just meaning a little bit. Okay, my grandma, she used to always cook with butter, or a lot of people's grandmothers or granddads or grandparents, whatever, great grandparents would always cook with things like butter and lard and beef tallow or beef dripping and things like that. And a lot of these people were generally fit and healthy and lived to a decent age of, you know, 80 plus. Whereas nowadays we're finding people at a younger age are having more issues the more that they're consuming things like margarine and these higher omega-6 fatty acid oils. So have stuff that we're a little bit more used to. Use those saturated fats to maybe cook with a little bit more because they handle heat a little bit better. But otherwise, guys, those are my top 5 fats. I'll do that video on my top 5 nuts to kind of follow this one as well. Hopefully you've liked it. Give it a like, give it a comment, hit the subscribe button, share it to your family and friends. But until next time, peace out.